Hey. Bam, we're live.
I was too early there.
Oh my goodness. Oh, hold on. I wanted to tell you guys I'm 6 months pregnant, but you know, I'm still going to drink 300 milligrams of caffeine
I knew you were transitioning.
for the show. It's completely unrealistic to ask me to stop drinking Bang. I'm only pregnant.
I don't see their name on the bottom here.
Who?
Bang.
Oh no, they're not. I just had
okay.
this sits in my refrigerator as like a, I know I just brought it in here. My wife's like, "You're gonna drink that?" I'm like, "No." It sits in my refrigerator. This is like break in case of emergency. Do you have anything like that in your refrigerator?
Heavy cream. I bought the heavy cream you suggested.
Yeah. Oh, what did you think?
So I did. I had the heavy cream for a couple of days, and then I went back to the whole milk, and it didn't taste as good after the heavy cream. So you've ruined me now. I was happy with something that was satisfactory, and now it's not satisfactory anymore. Now it doesn't taste good.
The bar has changed.
Yep.
Oh, that must be a typo, Audrey. Was that supposed to say "call me, Brian"? Okay. Announcements made. You can watch detailed explanation of it that takes fucking way too long between Chase and Adrian on the CrossFit Games podcast. You can hear Bill Grunler hear about it for the first time as Chase presents it to him on the Get With The Programming podcast. Bill's reaction, I think, is going to be very similar to mine. There's an incredible article with all the details. If you just don't want all the like bullshit and you just like, okay, hey, this is like, I just need to know what's going on, and I'm an athlete and I just want to get down and like start being able to get my head wrapped around what's going on, or an affiliate owner, athlete, I guess if you just want to get your head wrapped around it and you're interested in the open, go over to Be Friendly Fitness. It is the premier article right now. It's called 2024 CrossFit Games Season. And we're going to go over that really quickly. I'm going to try to give you guys the information and that so that we can get to the reactions. We only have JR and Bill for a short time. JR Howell is the owner of an affiliate and a competition director of the Crash Crucible, the Crash Crescendo, and CrossFit Crash. Bill Grunler is one of the longest affiliate owners, although Mr. Howell's had his affiliate for a long time. Bill Grunler's been around since the dawn of time. He knew CrossFit before I knew CrossFit. He owns a gym called CrossFit Inferno in San Luis Obispo, and he's been a commentator at the highest level for the sport. Then there's Brian Friend, who appeared out of nowhere many moons ago and has been absorbing every little bit of information you can about CrossFit. And this is actually his website to get the information. Every season there's new tweaks, which is cool. I don't have an issue with that. The CrossFit Games are amazing. The Open's amazing. And today they released new information regarding the season. I'm going to briefly run through some of the really big bullet points, some of the stuff you guys already know. It's going to be the finals will be, the CrossFit Games will actually be in Texas this year at Dickies, the Dickies Sport Arena. Wheelwad will be doing the adaptive division. We don't know where the dates. Pit Team will be doing the teen division. We don't know where are the dates. And Legends will be doing the Masters. We don't know the where or the dates, but those will be separate from what the most we can glean from the CrossFit Games, which will be at Dickies. The biggest implications of the changes so far to this date that we know is more competitors all around everywhere, except for maybe a minor place or two, like the team competition in the finals.
And semifinals.
And the biggest semifinals.
Explain that to me. Why not?
We'll get there.
Okay. So, and there may be some tuning errors in my presentation. The boys will jump on me quickly after I'm done. The Open starts on February 29th and ends on
March 18th.
Let me go through a little bit more here. Announcements will be the same. Thursday announcements, Monday due date, and then Wednesday validation of scores. The Open will be 3 weeks long. We don't know how many workouts.
Well, okay. three weeks. Yeah.
Well, 3 weeks. Nope. Adrian Bosman in this podcast he did with Chase said 3 weeks is a no-brainer. We will have a big battle there here soon on this show. I think that that's a complete wrong thing to say. I guess we can stop there and then just start digging in. You guys want to start digging in? Let's start digging. Brian, is there any other big picture stuff you want to lay out before we start digging in?
No, I'm probably going to lay out for a little while and let JR and Bill kind of take the lead, and especially with the opening quarterfinals as affiliate owners that need to manage those parts of the season, and they have limited time relative to us today.
Okay, I'll go first. The part that's really pissing me off is this. There's a point in that conversation that Adrian and Chase have where Adrian says the quarterfinals basically this year we'll be taking 25% of the individual open people, meaning if you're in the top 25% in the open, you get to go to the quarterfinals. And what I guess I don't have a problem with that. But then he says it's an extension of the open. I think that is complete horseshit. I think the open is sort of the community event, and then everything after there I consider the CrossFit Games. It's no longer, quote unquote, a community event. And all I wanted was the open to mean more. And now it means like nothing. And I listened to the podcast that Bill and Chase did. And this is where I disagree with Bill, but I'm willing to be unfucked. He's like, hey, with 25% of the people going, it means the open means nothing. Check. I agree with Bill. Open's a joke, even more of a joke now. But he says the programming is going to be really important. I disagree. I think the program doesn't even matter anymore. Like, fuck it, do anything. And Bill kind of alluded to that when he's like, hey, in the open, go ahead and put heavy lifting or whatever the fuck you want now. Like, nothing matters because the chunks are so fucking big. Anyway, J.R. Howell, let me roll it back just a tiny bit. What do you think about the let's start with just something simple. You happy with the dates?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to start with something positive.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, let's do it. I mean, it is exciting. It is positive. Sorry. But I just really want the open to mean something. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, this is just like logistics type stuff.
Okay.
Adrian even mentioned it on the show I listened to today with Chase, where Dave has been really, really committed to trying to make things simpler. And that goes for like the numbers you have to remember. Oh, okay, it's top 25% all the way around. Okay, cool. All right, it's 40s and it's 30s and it's 20s, and just even the numbers you have to remember during the season are easier. But one of the things he also said was trying to make it simpler for people to think about the season as it corresponds to the calendar year. So other than it starting on like a leap year day, you can think of March as the open. Then you can think of April is the quarterfinals. And then you can start to think of May as like when semifinals start. So in that respect, some of the changes made a lot of sense. When we get into the logistics of the competition itself, that's where, as an affiliate owner, it's going to be even more challenging than it ever has been. I'm not complaining about having a super fit general population. I think it's a great problem to have. However, it being a much lower barrier to entry, I can tell you right now that I bet if I went back and looked at the scores for the people that put in scores for all 4 scored portions of the open last year, comparatively to how many people even signed up, I'm willing to bet over 50 people would have qualified to quarterfinals. There are gyms out there that have over 100, already had over 100 maybe, and will. Great. We still run 7 classes a day. We're still going to have people that take it seriously. They're going to want to redo workouts once or twice, not only during the open, but into quarterfinals. And, logistically, it's just going to be really tough. So that's
so you don't agree with, so you don't agree with his no-brainer comment. And I want to push back on, if you want to make it simpler, get rid of the fucking quarterfinals.
Well, we
just
can
get rid of them. Just go fucking open 5 events. 4th and 5th events are fucking hard, dude. There's 300 pounds on the bar. Sorry. Tap out then. Who cares? But it's 5 fucking events and get rid of the quarterfinals. So
I really understand it from a growth standpoint. Like, not to get too far into the weeds of the masters and teens, but them expanding significantly is only going to grow that portion of the sport. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
I didn't understand that. Say that again. I'm not following you.
Letting it be a casting, letting the funnel stay bigger for longer all the way down to the games is only going to get people that may have been on the fence about even signing up for it or on the fringes, because they're like, dude, like, I can't make semifinals. That's like top 60 or top 40. But now they're going to make top 200 semifinals. Okay, cool. I can do that. And think about how many people are in that boat. So I think in that respect, it will help the Masters division, not only moving them to their own competition at the end of the year.
The
but
Masters
expanding
division.
the field.
I'm okay with I'm
Yeah.
okay with everything I heard. Just to be clear, everything I heard about Masters and teen. And
I think you have
adaptive,
to think of it all together, though. From an individual and even a team standpoint, I get what you're saying for sure.
Oh, I'm thinking, you know what I'm thinking? The games to me is 51% community and 49% games. And because of that, I think the Open should be 5 weeks. And I think just because it's hard on the fucking affiliate owners to make it 5 weeks, well, you've already done the argument for me, right? I wasn't going to say, well, you made the quarterfinals hard as fuck. Thanks for making the Open easier. I mean, that's basically what you said. But just because it's harder and it's 5 weeks, I don't think you get less participation. I don't think that's true at all. I think that this community is used to doing hard shit. I think you make the Open 5 weeks. Everyone knows where they fit in. A lot of you won't be doing so good on event number 4 and 5. They're kind of for the good guys. And then you go straight to the semifinals. Bill, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with the idea that I like what JR is saying about having wide funnels for growth. But I think
you buy that argument. You think that's true? What JR is saying? You agree with that? You think you open the fun? You think that more people are going to be like, okay, I'll do the Open because there's a chance I'm going to make it to the semifinals?
No. I don't think that. I think the idea.
Is that what you were saying, JR? That's how I understood what you were saying.
After that stage, so like I think the same people are going to do the Open because they always do the Open.
Okay.
But then I think that next 25% really, really attainable. And then after that, the top 200 per age group is really attainable. So there's going to be, I mean, let's just say it's 20
but can't
bucks,
they just
50
do
bucks,
that?
$100. Like we can get into the.
Why can't you do that from the why can't you do that from the just go straight from the Open to 200 people to the semifinals?
Well, you can, but then the gates there are not multiple gates and there are not multiple opportunities to make money off of it.
Okay, I'm not even worried about the money part of that necessarily. But for that particular thing, for like the Masters, if you go from whatever thousands to 200, the amount of video review that you would have to do to get to those 200 to get the right people into that 200 to move ahead, because I mean I mean when you have events where you're sitting at 200. Maybe you do good on one of them, but no one's looking to see where you are. No one goes to check out that at all. Maybe you are like what's his name? The Wall Street lifter.
Yeah.
And you're one of those guys that comes in and you wreck shop on one of the lifts, throw the entire thing around. So I don't want to go from like the Worldwide Open to 200. I like the fact of having them open. Now, I don't agree with the 25%. I think and I said this even on our show, I think the idea, if your only reason for doing that is because the numbers sound right, I don't buy that. That to me is a weak sauce reason.
That's nothing.
Whether it's a quarter.
That's a nothing burger, as they say in the hood.
100%.
But let's put some numbers behind it then.
Well,
So
I mean, Brian, you're the one that did the numbers when we were talking about this last year. Of the 10% that made it, how many people actually paid and participated? And I think you said it was like 3%.
No shit.
No,
you're telling.
It was more than 3%.
What was it? How much?
That
3.5.
qualified for the quarterfinals and actually participated.
Yeah.
No, it was closer to like 50% of participants.
Okay, so 5% of the 10%.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right. I understand.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: what has been the biggest challenge with the online quarterfinals the last 3 years?
Doing it in the affiliates, for the affiliates to set up the floor plans and to execute on it. The video review. How do you review an online competition that has so many people participating in it? And in the most critical regions in the world, you've made that stage of the season more important. If we used last year's Open numbers, just to put in perspective, 80,000 people would qualify for the individual portion of quarterfinals this year. 80,000. Right. Now, they might not all sign up. Like Bill said, maybe 50% sign up. That's 40,000 participants in 1 week in those divisions. And that part of the season is happening 2 weeks later than it has happened ever before. And it's leaving
about a month, given the timeline that Adrian talked about, until the start of semifinals. You have the first time there was quarterfinals, it took a month to review the quarterfinals.
Right.
So the timeline that you're imposing on your team, the stress that you're imposing on your team for the quarterfinal dates, there's the numbers right there. There's an additional 48,000 that would have qualified in this model compared to last year, then with the same numbers from last year. You're making the stress. It's the opposite of what I've been asking the CrossFit Games team to do. Make decisions that make things easier for you. So now you have this many more people that you have to deal with potentially in that stage of the season with a smaller amount of time to turn it around before people need to know whether they've made it so that they can start making plans. There's no chance. The best possible outcome here is that a small percentage of the quarterfinal videos are reviewed in a week, and that you give 3 weeks maximum for the first slate of semifinal athletes to plan their trips to semifinals.
Go ahead, Bill.
No, go ahead. Go for it.
What are the chances they bring back peer review?
Those are details that are unknown, and potentially some of these answers are going to be released with the rule book next year.
What is peer review?
Like so let's say the quarterfinals
You get to thumb
leaderboard
up or
comes
thumb
out.
down it.
You
Open it up to the world. Let
you
the
go
world
in and just say, hey, take a look at this. Hey, no, this one's good. And you just go and you look at the ones that have a certain number of thumbs down.
Which I think is valid. I mean, I like having the
do too.
community cut some of the extra work down. But and I said this in our show, is the problem that I see with the changes that are made is they seem to be made in the dark. Like it has yet to have happened. I've said it a handful of times before that it appears that there almost needs to be a mission statement for every single one of the stages of these events as they're going on. Like, what is the purpose of the Open? Is what? Like, you can't just say the purpose is to qualify X number of people to the quarterfinals. The quarterfinals only move the next group of people to the semifinals, because I feel like the way that it's set up, if the quarterfinals is now the real Open, the Open, or like what the Open used to be, the Open is now this, I don't know, free for all thing. Because I mean, 25%. I don't see the purpose of doing that. That to me,
what is the purpose? Does anyone see
Well,
the
then
purpose to that?
That's
What is
that
the
right
purpose
there.
to that?
That's
That
the
makes
question.
no sense to me.
Yeah.
It
used to be, it is the worldwide test of fitness for everyone to jump in, and those high-end people get to advance from there. So if that becomes the case, well, now if you're going to only have 3 events, okay, there's an element of qualifying, and again, I'm not talking about the top athletes. I'm talking about the community side of it. 25% to move up to the next one. To then what happens? Like, is it going to be harder in the quarterfinals? Is it going to be more skilled in the?
How many workouts in the quarterfinals traditionally?
5.
Is it 5?
So you and Bill are going to have to set this up in your affiliate. 3 workouts, 3 weeks in a row. You get how long off?
A month.
4 weeks off, and then you're going to have to set up 5 workouts.
Yeah, and again, I mean,
days.
I'm really frustrated by the news. Just from I already sent a message to all my coaches. Hey, this is the plan. I'm going to go ahead and start doing this now. I'm going to post all the dates. I'm going to post blocks where people are allowed to do the workouts. I'm going to post blocks where they're allowed to do the workouts. Because it's just going to be really difficult for an affiliate that's going to have so many people that move on. I'm not going to deter them from doing it. I'm not going to tell them.
How do you know it's going to be difficult if you don't know what the workouts are? Just let me push back here. Adrian and Chase made it sound like the workouts are going to be like stand in a 1x1 foot square and jump rope for 5 minutes. Workouts done. Like they're saying they're going to make the workouts easy.
I think the Open, to what Adrian said, I think it is going to be a lot easier. He had said minimal distances between things, like you can't put your rower right under the pull-up bar. It needs to be at least 3 feet away or whatever. And and there was a workout last year with dumbbell snatches, lunges, and crossovers where you didn't need anything. You didn't even need tape on the floor. All you need to be able to see was how many steps you were taking in one direction, and that's it. So I do think they'll do their part in making it easier on the affiliate owners. I'm not worried so much about the tape on the floor. It's time. It's time. It doesn't matter. If you have a 10-minute workout with 8 pieces of tape on the floor, you have a 10-minute workout, you need a judge. A lot of them need camera set up. Oh. And you need probably more than 2 or 3 areas to do it in. So again, I mean, I'm really paranoid and really overly concerned with making sure everything runs smoothly, but that's just kind of how I do it. And you'd be a fool not to be thinking about that right now if you're an affiliate owner.
I think what JR is saying, to put it easy, is, they talked about how 5 weeks for an affiliate owner is tough. We just did the exact same thing. Because with 25%, you're going to have a large group of people that are going to do it. And honestly, if you have that many people that are going to do it, probably everyone's just going to do it whether they qualified or not. So here we are, right back to a 5-week setup. So
and one thing I'll add too that I think was a little bit lost. Typically, it was like a 4-day window. It's now 5 days. And
for
a lot of people
for quarterfinals.
Correct. And a lot of people will be saying, well, that's good. That means the athletes have more time. They're not as rushed. The people that work, which is the majority of the people that are going to be doing it, have jobs that still want to try to get them in. They have more time to do it now. They have more time to do it. Exactly. Meaning they will use that extra day and probably
redo workouts,
just do them more. That's just what people do. Hey, I think I can redo this and get 5 or 6 more reps in a 15-minute workout. And as their coach and as an affiliate owner, I'm not going to say like, hey, dude, what's the point? Like, you're not moving on. Like, I'm not going to burst their bubble like that. So you just acquiesce and you say, oh, we got an extra day. That means another day that I need to plan for this stuff.
Does anyone have a good reason why they would do the 25%?
Yeah, because it's 25 quarterfinals, and it's.
But we already kind of established they already know that they can't make more money from it because
they can make more money from it.
Yeah.
The potential additional earning during quarterfinals is $4 million.
Potential.
But Brian, didn't you say only half the people?
And so they'll likely be making an extra $2 million.
Okay, so you're saying if instead of it being 50% of 10%, it's now going to be 50% of 25%.
But yeah,
doing what kind of math? Napkin math, front side napkin math. That's a little more advanced.
I just don't think that increasing the amount of percentage. Yes, it's a potential of that, but I don't think that you're going to have that many more people do it than you would have had if you would have left it at 10.
That will be a super interesting thing to track for sure. We already last year, Mike Halpin and I did a study of this because there were a large percentage of quarterfinal qualifiers that couldn't do the movements or the lifts that were required at that stage. Now you've added another 15% of qualifiers that are less skilled, less strong, and less qualified, quite frankly.
I think Halpin actually in the comments said something to your point. I think he said something about the 25% mark was like one muscle up for the men. Like who had a muscle up.
Whereas the 10% was less than one muscle up for the women last year.
Oh, that's what he was referencing? I couldn't figure out what he was referencing. Let me see if I could find it.
So that's which is odd to me. So it's like that is now what's advancing.
Right.
And, so what I loved about the Open was that people could get their first muscle up, or they try to get their first muscle up, and they got a lot of PRs like that. But it just seems very odd to me that in a worldwide competition for fitness, that if you are unable to do that you should be jumping from the methodology of fitness, which is the Open. This is our one time to test yourself for the year, where you now jump into the element of sport, the sport of fitness, because it's not the community test anymore. Once you get past it, kind of like what you said, like it's 51% community and then 49% games, like all that's the Open. Yeah. And now none of that stuff's going to happen because we're going to be advancing people over to the quarterfinals. Well, now that line gets really blurred because who's really moving up there? And is there going to be a list that says, hey, here are the skills you should be able to do? Well, I qualified, but I can't do that.
Let me put this is a trip. These are trippy numbers for people who don't know what they're looking at in regards to these numbers. What Mike Halpin has so generously done with a smile on his face in this profile picture is he's basically saying, if you know what the workouts were from last year, if you remember, this is what you would have had to have done for 23.1. You would have just had to have gotten one muscle up. I can't remember what the workout is, but you can just imagine that's a pretty low bar. And then he goes on and shows it for all the different workouts. Let me say this. What about this argument? I just thought of this. Tell me if you buy this. You make it so more people qualify for the quarterfinals, and therefore they end up becoming more invested in semifinals and the games. and because they can participate longer, because they know people who can participate longer. So in a way, it's generating more fans and more intense interest because people can continue along longer. You buy that?
No.
Oh, Brian, you buy that?
I mean, these guys got to go in a minute, so let's let them.
Okay,
have
do
the
you
last
buy
Yeah,
that?
I-
Do you buy?
No, I don't buy that because like
You think it's just a
everyone
financial
that's
move? You think it's just a financial move? Then you think it's just like, hey,
I don't want to. Well, I actually don't know. And one of the things we talked about on the show a little earlier was if it was truly financial, then if you were going to be, if you made it in the age group and the open division for quarterfinals, you don't have to pay for both divisions. You only have to pay once, and then you can go on either one and be on either one of those sides. So if it was a money
after
grab,
the
you would have
Open,
to,
if you
in
qualify,
the quarterfinals.
Okay.
This is one of the problems. The programming for the quarterfinals for age group and for open division is the same. It's exactly the same. So now I can choose to go either this way or that way. I don't have to do 2 workouts. If I qualified in the open division and then I qualified as the masters, I would have to do 2, but a lot of the workouts were very similar or exactly similar. This year that's exactly the same. So that's another thing to me. It's like, okay, well, if the programming now is going to be the same at that level, what is the programming going to look like for masters and age group, and then the open athletes that are going to try to move on? And then what did it look like in the open for these guys to get there? I'm terrified with I am terrified what the program is going to look like. I think it's going to be an absolute shit show, honestly.
Well, in the last year, it was only the 10% qualified to quarters, and they received a ton of negative feedback about them not being accessible enough. So you had workouts where it started with handstand walks, essentially. You had workouts where,
you're saying that the 10% was complaining the workouts were too hard.
Correct. The bottom of the 10%, a lot of them weren't even able to do the workouts. So you're
Did you agree with that or no? Did you think that was a good idea for them or no?
To make them that no. I mean, I think it probably deterred a lot of people from wanting to do it this year. Now that it's 25% and the programming is the same, it really has to be appropriate. And that's something Adrian said he was focused.
But there's a challenge, but there's an implicit challenge that counteracts that, which is that in the most competitive parts of the world, there's less people advancing to the next stage, but there's more people potentially participating in what is being advertised as more accessible tests. And those things don't work that well together.
Let me ask you this, just to be clear for the people listening at home and myself. You'll do the open. You'll qualify, whether you're an individual or master. You'll qualify to this next section that's called quarterfinals. In the quarterfinals, though, there will be 5 workouts. You're telling me that these 5 workouts for the individuals, the best male and female athletes in the world, will be the same as the masters from 35 to 112 years old?
Well, if it's based on how the open has been, it'll be the same for the teenagers that are 16 and 17 and the masters that are 35 to 54, and they'll just be altered versions of those workouts, probably skill and weight for the
a 54-year-old will do the same workouts as Jason Hopper and Tia Claire Toomey in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
If it's the same,
now I see I didn't understand your concern, Bill. Now it's I understood one. I thought I understood one part. I understand one part of it. I didn't. That's a whole nother part too.
There is a potential, because now we see that they've made some changes to the distribution of masters qualifying spots at the games, and it's cut off at 50, at 49, where 35 to 49 have the same. There's always the potential that the games programming team, or in this case, I think the games said they're programming the first 2 stages of the season, could recognize that there needs to be a more gradual tapering within the masters divisions. So they could always make that change, but historically they have not.
And I think people that are, I know this isn't a programming show at all.
Wait. Sorry, JR, before you said, the problem with that is, Brian, then people who qualify for individual and whatever place they break the age off will now have to do all the workouts in the same week. Meaning the whole reason why they're doing this is that so someone who's 36 years old can do one set of workouts and plug their scores into individual and masters. That's the way I took it. So, but what you're saying is, and I guess there'd be very few 50-year-olds who
Yeah,
are
well, what
concerned
I'm
about
saying
whether-
is that since Bill Grunler did it in 2014, no one over 45 years old has ever qualified for those divisions anyway. So you can probably cut it off at 44, and you can end 16 and still get everyone who would have made it through either way.
I wish I had knew the cheer button.
Not
Not
that.
that.
He puts
Good
that.
try. Good try. Okay, go ahead, Jared. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, if people can think back to 23.3, where there are gates, right? Gated workouts. Starts with wall walks, then goes to strict handstand push-ups. Then if you can get through them, there's a moderately heavy snatch. If you think of workout 1 from quarterfinals last year, it goes from handstand walk to ring muscle ups, 2 wall facing handstand push-ups. The last workout goes from chest to bar, 2 bar muscle up, 2 dense rope climbs. People, like, that's the blueprint. If everyone's doing the same workouts, you can expect lots of workouts that have natural gates, natural places to bottleneck, natural parts of the workout where everybody can play, and then not very many people can play, and then only the contenders can play.
Which is a smart way to do it when you have such a large group, of people that are competing anyway, to do that, because then you have your natural splits to move on, which is fine. And I hope we just haven't seen it. I haven't seen enough good programming, especially in the quarterfinal stage, where that goes that direction. I haven't seen it, and knowing that they're going to have this many people that are sitting 25% move on, I don't see that being any easier or being more inclusive or fire people up more than it is by keeping it even the 10%. I like the fact that they went up the numbers for the masters in the age group to the 200 to go from there to the games. Great. I think that was probably the best thing that they put on there, because now you're going to have masters that can actually compete and actually kind of get after it, which would be great. Instead, I think last year was just 30.
Yes, but that's
crazy.
appropriate for the lower age division masters. I still don't think that they need 265 plus, if that many even sign up for it.
Well, that's but it's an online qualifier. It's an online qualifier.
Yes, but the difference in ability from the best to the 200th in the 35 to 39 is extremely small compared to the best to the 200th in the 65 plus.
Okay. I don't necessarily disagree with you. I need to head out and go pick up my daughter, but I will throw this out to you just on that point. So they're increasing the number of games level athletes in the Masters from 40 to 30, 40, 30, and 20 based on the age division. I think that that's cool. I think that there were also, I competed when there were 20 people in the division, and there was a vast difference between the top 10 and the bottom 10 that make it to the games, and that was for 20. Mm-hmm. If all of a sudden now you have 40 athletes in the lower age groups, and then you have 30 in the middle age groups, and 20 at the upper age groups, you're going to have just what you're talking about, this vast difference between the two, and that's going to be live in person on the floor. Mm-hmm.
I totally agree. I basically advocated for it last year, that the 35 to 39 can support 30. I think the 40 to 49 can support 20. And I think the older divisions only need 10. And the 65 plus might only need 5.
Possibly.
If you want to have relatively competitive fields that are still representative of their open registration numbers, because that's how it tapers off.
No, I don't have any problem. Well, I don't have any problem. Why cut them down? Why not let it go up?
Well, because basically what you're going to see now at every stage of competition is a certain percentage of people.
Bye, Bill. Thank you for coming on. Bill Grunler from Get With The Programming, CrossFit Inferno. Thanks, Bill.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Because, Sevan, what you're going to see now is that at every stage of competition, there's going to be a percentage of athletes that have qualified that are unable to do the workouts or to perform them very well. Now, they might just not sign up for it. Like I would have easily made it in the top 25% last year, but there's 2 of the quarterfinal workouts that I couldn't have even started. I couldn't do the first rep of them.
Right. And so that's fine. That's fine though, right?
Yeah. So I would wait until the workouts come out, and then I would make a decision. Do I want to pay $50, $40, whatever it is, to do 3 workouts just for the hell of it and take a 0 on the other ones? Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But this is going to happen for masters athletes and individual athletes at quarterfinals. It's going to happen for masters athletes at semifinals. It might happen for some of the lower division or the lower qualifiers in the weaker continents, or the ones that had 30 last year at semifinals, and it could potentially happen for some of the back end qualifiers in some of the Masters divisions at the games.
But I thought the implication was that you were suggesting it was something negative, like the semi.
Well, it's just this. There's this saying in CrossFit: program for the best, scale for the rest. But when it comes to competition, what am I going to do? Advertise the competition and say, hey guys, I have an RX, intermediate, and community division. The community division is super accessible. Anyone can sign up for it. Come on down. And then the first workout has cleans at 225. People are going to be like, fuck you, dude. What are you doing?
Let me get this clear. It says more people will qualify for semifinals than ever this year. Top 200 at semifinals per division.
Online age groups.
Are you saying you have a problem with that?
Not at all. I actually think that's a good thing for the growth of those communities. I think
I like it too. Do you have a problem with it?
I think it's going to boost signups, and then I think if you have 200, you can have a not so great workout or two and still probably make top 40. In your top 30, if you had one workout that was not good, you were not going to the games. And a lot of those guys in the top 30 last year could have gone to the games and made noise, just because the margin of error is so much smaller. While their group got bigger, the individuals got smaller. And if you're someone who's just trying to crack that semifinals, you want that individual semifinals on your resume, which for a lot of people is like just as good as making the games 10 years ago. You have to be top 40 in North America. Now, you've expanded the quarterfinals field. You've given the opportunity for much more people to do it. Think about a strength workout. If there's a 1 rep max tested and you are someone that's on the bubble and you are not a very strong athlete, now your chances of cracking the top 40 went down considerably, because there are a lot more strong people than there are really, really, really fit people. So it's going to really be interesting for those bubble semifinal athletes. It's easy for people to be like, who cares about them? They don't matter as far as who's going to the games, but you can play that game all the way down to the open.
Brian, do you have any issues with 200 going? I like it that 200 get to do the
I addressed this last year, and it's like, why not actually look at the number of people participating in those divisions? We have all these years, a decade of studies that we could do to reflect this. And last year, in the lower three divisions, there were 15,000, 25,000, and 35,000 men that signed up. 10, 18, and 24,000 women. And the next three divisions, so 50 to 54 and going down from there, it's half of those numbers at best. And then it descends and descends. I think it should be 200 for the first three and 100 after that.
But why?
Because then you're going to have a greater percentage of the qualifying athletes that can do the workouts that should, the difficulty of the workout that should be present at that stage of the season.
I would just program it and not care about them.
That's what I just said. Who's going to have a competition and say, yeah, come on, you made it to this competition, come on in. First workout is 50 wall-facing strict handstand push-ups for time, followed by three deadlifts at 505 pounds. You're going to be like, why did I pay money to come to this? You mean I qualify? I qualified for this? This is the one I signed up for.
I don't want to say two wrongs make a right, but we've seen that at the games a lot also. We've seen that at the games.
Yes, but that's the CrossFit. That's the CrossFit games.
Right. Oh my God. OPT can't do handstand walks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they've made some adjustments to that over the years. I thought it was ridiculous when they were qualifying one person from Latin America, taking him to California, saying, okay, we have an ocean swim as event one. Oh, you can't swim? You're out. You can't even participate in the rest of the events. But they stopped doing that because it was clearly ridiculous to have someone travel, represent their part of the world, and then eliminate them after not being able to do the first skill.
Who was that? Do you remember who that was?
Orlando Trejo.
Oh, that's crazy.
And that was like year after year.
I actually don't have a problem with that, but it's crazy.
But that's the CrossFit games. That is different. That is elite. That is meant to be. Yes, there's gonna, like, if you go there and every athlete that goes there for the most part runs into something where, like, fuck, this is hard. Whether it's the totality of the volume, the ability to recover a weight, a movement, a skill. Like, that's the point of the games, is to expose the best athletes in the world. That is not the point of the quarterfinals, in my opinion. That's not the point of the semifinals.
What is the point? So I still don't understand why you care. I think that 100 people can't do it. If 100 people, let's say the final let's say there's some deadlift workout, and in the final bar, 150 of the old people can't do it, and only 50 of them can do it. The ones that are juiced up and got away with being juiced.
Well, look, like we said, we have to wait.
I wouldn't be upset if I was competing. Would you?
No, it depends on how the workouts are designed, and it sounds like he's going to have a much simpler design, or at least a lower barrier to entry to begin the workouts, which is good. That is needed in the current system that they currently have.
Let's go.
One thing I'll say is because I have to leave in like 2 minutes. I think Chase was probably the first one to bring it up. This was a long time ago, but from an affiliate owner standpoint, you want people to get excited about the open. You want them to challenge themselves. For a lot of people, it's the only time they will compete all year. They'll take it a little bit more seriously. They'll talk junk to their friends, whatever. Awesome. Why not in the future do something like, for the affiliates, a kickback system? So I'll just say, okay, hey guys, get your members excited about the open, get them to sign up. Instead of it being $20, it's now $25. You get a $5 kickback for every person from your gym that signs up. Quarterfinals is expanded to 25%. That means more of your community is going to be able to move on and test themselves again. It's going to be $50 to sign up. For every person that signs up, you get $10 kickback. Any people that make it to a semifinal stage online, adaptive, age groups, it's going to be $100 to sign up. You know what? We can give you a $20 kickback for every person that does that.
Hey, dude, now, once they open that door, they can't close that. You know that.
Maybe that's,
I like your idea,
and
but they'll never be able to close that door once they open it.
And maybe that's just me, being foolish and just being like, oh man, come on. Like, if your members are working hard and your members
they want you to sell the open to people. Why not?
Yeah. So anyway, it's just something that I think an affiliate owner that has 50 plus people doing quarterfinals, needing to find time to judge them, to video them, because they want to take it seriously. You don't want to brush them off and just say, oh, you don't matter. You're not Jason. You're not going to semifinals anyway. So, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to treat Jason just like I treat the person that barely got in 25%. So it's just something to think about maybe in the future to maybe incentivize
the corner. Are the quarterfinals or the open?
Both.
Well, your idea is not foolish in the sense that, like, hey, you're asking these people to do something, you should pay them.
I think a lot of the people would actually sign up knowing maybe the gym would get some juice.
Right.
Whereas normally they wouldn't. They just, but you know what, man?
That's a really good point.
So not only do more people sign up, but they also are just like, you do a lot for me. I didn't know you were going to get a little kickback. Sure, I'll sign up for you.
Right. Yeah, I really like that. I love that idea. I just know once they open that door, you can't close it. I'd be scared. If I worked at HQ, I'd be scared to death. I would try to figure out some other way to incentivize people. But it's a fucking great idea.
I got to go buy all the 3M tape that Lowe's has. All right, see you.
Bye. Right. Is that really what he's doing?
I don't think so.
And that was a joke in reference to the fact that you need a lot of tape to mark the quarterfinals and open workouts to map out the floor, right? The floor layouts.
That's what he was getting at. Yes.
Brian, let's move on to actual semifinals. These will be live events for the individuals and the teams, and each semifinal will have 30 teams. Instead of there being 38 teams that go to the CrossFit Games this year, there'll only be 30 teams. And last year at the semifinals, how many teams went?
Well, it was different based on which competitive region you were in. There were either 20 or 40.
So, and now it'll be the same. It'll be 30
the same thing. Yeah, more or less the same thing has happened on the team and individual side of things for semifinals, which is that there were more individuals and teams that qualified in what I have called the major regions: North America, East, West, and Europe. And then there were less in the other four. And this year they've uniformed that, so everyone gets the same.
But the North American semifinals will, even though they will have fewer people in them, the same amount will qualify more or less within one, based on the strength of numbers.
We can assume, we can assume that. I think Adrian said in his show with Chase, a pre-recorded show with Chase today, that it's going to be a very similar system.
Hey, that's crazy. That means in some of these semifinals, 25% of the people will qualify to to the CrossFit Games.
And in others, 5%. 1 out of 40. Is that 5? That's less than 5. 2, whatever it is.
2 and something.
4. 1 out of 40. Yeah.
2.4.
2.5.
Jeez. Wow.
5% in Asia. Yeah.
Do you? There was someone in here that I think agreed with you. This I think this was the sentiment you were giving. Extra sloppy. Sevi, that's me. I'm a class RX guy, meaning they write the shit up on the board and he does it like the way they write it. How are you going to incentivize me to do quarterfinals? From what I've seen out of quarterfinals in the last time, I'd never sign up for that. He's implying that they were too hard. They were too. He's really strong and capable, but they were still too hard.
Yeah, and he wants to see your best on the spot sales pitch to him.
Quit being a pussy. No, what? But that is what you're saying. That's what you're saying too. You're saying it's gonna you're saying like, how are they gonna make programming that's gonna incentivize these really good people like Extra Sloppy who are really good at CrossFit, but also filter out for the Ricky Mac.
Correct. And it's not, and it's like, and I would even say take the extremes out of it. You know, if as Halpin has shown us, to make the top 25% with the style of programming we had last year is a pretty low barrier to entry for an experienced CrossFitter or someone like Mr. Sloppy that goes to the class and does mostly the prescribed workouts. At the very top end of the field, you have Ricky Max and Jason Hoppers and these guys. The Open is an afterthought. The quarterfinals, they might have to put a little bit of attention on this year because the margins for error is small. You know, there were some athletes that did very well at the CrossFit Games and Rogue this year that wouldn't have made the semifinals last year. Did you see those yet?
No, where's that? Did I? Maybe
Halpin identified them very quickly. It's on his known and knowable page. He tagged Be Friendly Fitness. We reposted it, but Yellow Hoste is one of those.
Is that on Instagram?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hold on a second. I want you to explain this to me. Oh, I like this. Hold on. Mike Halpin, known. Oh no, I follow the known and knowable page. Yes.
You want to be in the know.
It popped up very quickly for me. Mike Halpin, thank you for your. Okay, here. Which one is it?
Stories.
Oh, okay. Here we go. These 2024 season changes. CrossFit sets a state. Okay. This one. It looks like you've been missing this feature by going too fast. You've been temporarily blocked from using it. Wait, what? What? Did Halpin just block me? Wait, what?
This is the one. This is the one.
What was that? What was that? Oh shit.
The next one.
What? The next page. What was I getting blocked for? I'm in a panic.
I don't know.
Okay, here it is.
Yeah.
You're temporarily blocked. It looks like you were misusing this feature.
They're watching you.
Okay. Now explain to me what happened. Bethany, Rebecca, and Jelly?
They would not have made semifinals last year under this format.
But the format...
Therefore, they would have had no chance to qualify for the games. They wouldn't have competed at the games, and therefore Yellow Host and Bethany Flores also wouldn't have qualified for Rogue through the CrossFit Games. Maybe they would have through.
Okay, I understand Bethany Flores because she probably went somewhere where 80 people were accepted, right?
No, they all went somewhere where 60 people were accepted.
60, sorry. Okay, they all went somewhere where they were 60. Okay.
Their qualifying positions, as you see there, were 52nd, 55th, and 44th, which would not have been good enough to make it on first glance. Now, possibly with a backfill or something, a Yellow Hoster would have got in. But the reason why I mentioned that the margins for error at the quarterfinal are going to be smaller for the top athletes is several things. First of all, what JR said is that there's the potential for a workout or a scored event to show up that could skew the data with a large pool of athletes the way that happens in the Open. Secondary, and so the programmer must be conscientious of that. Secondarily, we had the problem with the V-ups last year, a new standard introduced at a stage of the season with a big group of people And so there was a learning curve in terms of athletes making mistakes with that regard. Thirdly, you had the crossover single under, where, in my opinion, that was not so much a fitness test for some people as just a skill adaptation that they were forced to do under a small period of time. And all of those things, you can have your opinions one way or the other, but there are things that Adrian and the programming team must consider carefully when programming for quarterfinals, because they put an increased premium on the ability to qualify for the most competitive regions in the world, where even if you were outside of those qualifications last year, you could have been a yellow hoste who went on to make top 10 at the games. He was the highest placing rookie there. He got an invite to Rogue. He's got an invite to FitFest. His whole life changed because of the 60, and now they've reverted back to the 40.
You're not weighing in on if it's a good thing or a bad thing. You are
pointing out and hoping that these are conversations that were had in the decision-making process. It's really easy, and it's really easy to look at this and say, more athletes participating at more stages of the season, great for growth in terms of more competition within kind of the marginal CrossFitter and the affiliates. Great for revenue for CrossFit. They have the potential to earn a lot more money, which would be great for them to be able to support higher elevation of maybe a prize purse at semifinal that's reflective of the quality of the field, or increase of a broadcast that's going to be available for some of the teenage games and adaptive and age group games this year. Obviously they have more money, they can potentially do more things with it. So it's not bad to have more earning potential. I think that the thing that we're kind of questioning is, how does that weigh against what you've done to the quality of the competition? Because that article that Halpert and I did last year about the true strength of field was basically getting after this idea of, is each stage of the season vetting for the appropriate group of athletes to take the next test, with the ultimate goal of finding the fittest group of people to take the ultimate test to find the fittest person. And we pretty much decided that was not the case last year. And the numbers kind of speak to that. Now it's even more difficult to do that in this format. So that's the counteractive side. Like, those are the things that you need to weigh.
The only thing that I heard in the podcast with Adrian and Chase that explains the 40 male and 40 female athletes that will compete at uniformly across all 7 regions, the same 7 that they were last year, is that they wanted continuity in the deployment of the workouts, the deployment of the workouts, and the scheduling of the workouts. They wanted uniformity across all of the events. I can't think of any other reason why they would not make an exemption for North America, East and West, and Europe, where I believe you're saying we had 60, which it would make sense to me. Why not just let them have 60 again? It is more money for them. It's more people. It's more fans. It's more everything. The only thing I can think of is the scheduling and the logistics. Can you think of anything? And Adrian said that, but it seems weird that you wouldn't make an exemption for that.
Well, and another thing that was unknown is who is governing those competitions. So CrossFit took the responsibility of the big 3 semifinals last year and outsourced the responsibility to the other competition organizers in those parts of the world: Torian Pro, Asia, South America, Africa. We don't know how that's going to go yet. There was obviously a cost associated with CrossFit having those big 3. And because of the number of participants on the team and individual side, they had an extra day of competition, means they have to reserve the venue for an extra day. So there's extra costs potentially there.
Okay.
But again, the balance is, what does it say about the state of competition? Because in the study that we did, I think there were 2 women and 5 men from Africa, or it might have even been less than that, like 1 and 2, that actually proved good enough through the individual open and quarterfinals, relative to the global population who took those tests to advance to the semifinals. And it was a bit of a crude study that we did where we had some pretty strict cutoffs, but it ended up yielding a field that was very similar to the total number of qualifiers that they had. Now they've allowed 40 of those in. There was other studies that we did last year, and obviously this is a lot of new information today, and I've already done a lot of finding old information and making comparisons. but there were something like 100 athletes that didn't ever get a single rep of workout number 2 around the world last year. Now
from the semifinals.
In semifinals workout 2, which was you had to do it was the weighted muscle ups into the pistols, into the burpee box jump overs or get overs. And, there were, it was close to 100 athletes that were unable to get to any burpee box jump overs, which was the scored thing. Now you're taking away 60 men and 60 women from the most competitive regions, and you're adding in 40 men and 40 women from the least competitive regions. Another way of saying that is you're diluting the quality of the semifinal participant globally. So you're having more people that are less capable participating. So while, yes, on the logistics side, everything is going to be more equally distributed, what's going to be drastically altered is the disparity from best to worst person participating in there. And at this stage of the season, you absolutely cannot be doing these types of things that he's talking about, which is, oh, well, we need to make the programming such that people can participate. No. Now the game is on. It's real. There's a limited number of spots at the games. We want people at the games that are good enough to show up and do most of the things there and be competitive and affect the leaderboard from day one through whenever they're cut or the final workout. And we're going to have probably around 35 women in Africa now, 30 at least, that are just, there's no other way to say it. They're not good enough to be at the semifinal based on what the level of programming needs to be to assess for that level of athlete globally to advance to the CrossFit Games.
You think we're going to see a lot of people standing around with their thumb in their butt?
Not if those events aren't live streamed.
Wow. Hence your piggyback, hence Bill's apprehension about seeing the programming.
Of course, a lot of it is dependent on the programming. And this is where, I would love to be in the rooms for some of those conversations prior to these decisions being made to see if these questions are being asked. If there is someone that's providing some pushback to say, hey, I understand that 25 is a clean number. I understand that having 200 is easy for people, whatever. Are we sure that we need 200 athletes competing in the semifinal stage of competition for 60 and 65-year-old divisions? Let's take a look at what those divisions actually produced last year. There was a really dramatic drop-off after about 60. I'm just making that up. But do we need 200? Can we do, maybe do we have 200, 200, 200, 100, 100, 50, 50? And now we're taking a percentage of athletes or a group of athletes from that demographic that are actually representative of the style of athlete that we want to be testing at that stage of competition for what the intended goal is, which is to find a specific number to advance to the final stage.
Do you have any problem with the in the adaptive with the finals, the CrossFit Games? Let's say that Legends will be in charge of this year with so many people. The first 3 divisions from 35 to 50 each have 40 people in them now. Do you have a problem with that?
I think you just switched from adaptive to master's question mid-question.
Sorry. I meant thank you. Let's do masters first. The masters 35 to 50. Do you have an issue with that? But just to be clear, sorry, let me just be really clear real quick. By the way, the adaptive has 15 divisions men, 15 divisions female, and at their championships, at their CrossFit Games, they'll have 10 people in each division.
Correct.
Just there. Okay. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
Now, to be clear, the masters, men and women, 35 to 50, those 3 divisions will have 40 in each.
Yeah.
Do you have a problem with that?
So, yes and no. I think that it is appropriate. And I was asking last year to have increased representation in specific masters divisions at the final stage of the season. I also think that it's appropriate to have increased participation for certain divisions at earlier stages in the season. If I were just given carte blanche to do this for the semifinals, starting with the 35 and going up to 65, I would have probably done 200, 200, 200, 100, 150, 50 for semis. And then the games, I probably would have done 30, maybe 30, 30, 20, 20, 10, 10, 5, something like that.
I still don't know why. Oh, because you don't want to see people sitting around not being able to do the workouts. And you're concerned that there's going to be some influence in the programming to make sure that everyone's moving on the floor as opposed to crowning the fittest and making it challenging enough.
35,000 people sign up for one division. They get 40 spots to the games. Less than 2,000 people sign up for another division and they get 20 spots to the games. It's less than 10% correlation with 50% representation at the highest stage of the competition. So I just would say I would look at the numbers. And then you also could look at the number of people who are actually not just signing up, but completing all the tests at semis and quarters in the previous year. And you could look for certain thresholds and say, hey, what kind of person do we really want at the semifinal level? What kind of person do we really want at the games level? And how many of those people existed in the 35 to 39 demographic last year? Plus, that demographic, the 35 to 49 range, is only continuing to improve still. We haven't reached the peak limit of what's kind of expected because there's continually people that have been doing this for 5, 8, 10, 12 years that are getting into those age ranges that are increasing the ability there. At the upper ends, we could say that's also true, but I think that we have there's like a really clear drop off in those divisions where there's a certain group of people, maybe it's 100 to 150 at most, that can actually like do the stuff that we would want them to be doing in quarterfinals, and then a lot less that can do it at semifinals.
I was just thinking about frisbee golf and about how fucking deep the field is, to where it's just like the dudes at the bottom are just, well, yeah, the dudes at the bottom can't even compare to the dudes at the top.
Right, but the barrier,
you have a high tolerance for that. Yeah,
the barrier to entry for that sport is very low. Throw a disc until you get it in the basket. It's one objective. There isn't an increased demand to do a dozen different lifting variations, a dozen different gymnastics variations, all these things in combination, mobility, range of motion, the weight increases, etc. It's a very different sport in that regard.
Let me read through some of these really quick. Eduardo Montiero. Last year, Guy Malheiros lost his spot in South Africa. Just kidding. In South America for an event terribly programmed, and there were not plenty of good athletes for him to come back in the standings. Oh, yeah, there were only 3 good dudes there, top-tier dudes, and there wasn't anyone to help him get in the mix to get back. Would you say that was terribly programmed? That was going to be my question to you.
I mean, this is, I'm not really sure what he's hinting at. I mean, the problem...
He's saying this. The first workout was programmed like ass, and on top of that, this is the way I'm understanding it, on top of that, he had a great rest of the week, but there weren't enough people, good dudes there to fucking give him the ability to come back.
Yeah, I mean, he's using a specific example to talk about what JR highlighted earlier and what we've already reiterated, which is that the bigger the group of athletes, the more critical the programming. Because if you program even one event that has a low barrier to entry, 5K run, max snatch, something that like there's going to be a group of people that will excel at that discipline that might not excel at the complexity of CrossFit otherwise. But they have a general physical fitness that's good enough to get there. And if one of these superstar athletes is average at that specific task that was pulled, I don't know if it's random or intentionally to be tested amongst a group of other tests, limited number of tests, deep field, easy entry point, that's the recipe for potentially missing out on someone like that. Sam Briggs in handstand walking, 2014, right? One thing she couldn't do, if she had been able to do that one thing that year, she may have won the games that year. A lot of people think she would have. We don't know how Guy would have done it this year, but he did great on 5 of the workouts or 6 of the workouts. He did terribly on 1, and he missed out on a spot at the games because of it. Now there's going to be 10 extra guys in that field this year.
Which could be good for him.
Probably not. If there's a long aerobic event again, it could mean that he has a less chance to make it back to the CrossFit Games.
Unless those guys push down the top 2 guys who beat him out last year.
Well, what you're saying, what happened was Guy was the best by a large margin at the more complex workouts.
Oh, but the guys we're going to get are going to be below him. They're going to be ass.
Right. So he might have.
I see. Thank you for explaining to me. It took me a second. All of a sudden, 10 dudes aren't going to show up who are fucking beasts.
Yeah. So
we already know the caliber of athlete there. Okay.
Right. So the fact that Guy had, and I'm making some stuff up here, but the fact that he had 3 world-class performances at semifinals that totally obliterated the field he competed against was negated and then some by the fact that he had a below average workout on one of the tests that would just happen to be something that a lot of people are good at. And you would expect him to be better at that too, but he's not. And it was so influential and detrimental to his overall score that even elite level performances on several other tests wasn't enough to overcome it, because what he was excelling at, the other guys were not. They were a lot worse than him at it, but still better than the rest of the field.
Dude, that's a great list to put together. Athletes who didn't make it, the top 10 best athletes who didn't make them to the games. Like Sam would be number 1 and Guy would be number 2 or something. You know what I mean? And then as a list, it's just
Yeah,
what the fuck happened to athletes?
Yeah, I mean, there would be some. That would be a tough study, actually, because you'd have like, there was those 2 years that Fikowski didn't make it by 1 spot in back-to-back years. Then he finally made it, and he finished 4th at the games next year.
He could be on the list twice.
Well, we don't know how good he would have been because we didn't have a previous data point. Whereas for Sam Briggs, she won the games, then she missed. For Guy, he made it top 10 twice, then he missed. So we know that we're missing out on a great athlete that can do it at the next level. Whereas in the case of Fikowski, we didn't know yet how good he could be.
Cave Dastro, Sevi just became adaptive for a second. It's called neuromuscular division. Jedediah Nelson, Brian, are you, Brian Friend, coming to Wheelwad games this year?
Jedediah, not only, well, I am planning to come there. I don't have a place to stay there yet. It's been a little complicated trying to get that.
But you also don't know. What if it's the same days as the CrossFit games?
No. Wheelwad is happening in 3 weeks in Raleigh, North Carolina, December 1st through 3rd.
Oh.
Year.
Jedediah, and Jedediah is coming on the show this Friday. Jedediah, make sure we bring up your shirt on the show on Friday. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, you're right.
But Jedediah, I am bringing with me some models that were sent to me from adaptive rowing in Sweden for lower extremity division athletes to test out. And Tom Miazga has told me that they are game changing. So I'm super excited for the.
What do you mean some models? Like limbs and shit, like legs, like prosthetic?
It's a rowing attachment.
Oh.
It's real. I got a chance to test it when I was in Sweden, and they asked if I knew Tom, and I did. I do know Tom, and I reached out to him. I showed him.
What's Tom missing?
Tom is I think he's the best athlete, the best male athlete in the lower extremity division over the last. I think he's won almost every workout, not just the competition that he's done. In the past
so he doesn't have legs.
He does have legs, but he doesn't have full function of them.
Is he better than Jedediah?
It's I'm not actually sure if they'd be in the same division or not this year because
Should I not be having Jedediah on and be having this dude Tom on? Should I swap out my adaptive?
No, they're both great, but they have next year lower impairment above knee, lower impairment below knee, and lower impairment minor. They have seated without hip function and seated with hip function. And seated quadruple leg.
Second rated. I don't want the second best dude.
Anyway,
it's Jedediah. Friday, ladies and gentlemen, maybe Jedediah Nelson's last appearance on the Sevan Podcast. Mike Halpin, how many? Oh yeah, what's going on with the occupational games? I haven't heard any mention of that yet. Do we know?
I have also not heard any mention of that.
Patrick Clark always has something interesting to say. Halpin, simple fix. That is, you choose the winner of the occupational games out of the quarterfinals. Use the same workouts. Yeah, but they have to let us know like who's the cop and who's the nurse. They have to sign up for that, right? Like we need to see that. We need that leaderboard.
Do you know anyone who can make that happen?
No. Well, I could talk to someone. I know a guy.
Oh.
I should ask him. He works on the games team. He used to be in the Navy. Dave Borders, $4.99. Thoughts on just counting open scores as part of quarterfinals? That would make the open still matter a lot. Oh.
They used to do this for the age group semifinals, where the first scored event was your open score, your open ranking. And then you would have, 4 or 5 other ones. That would be factored in as basically 20% or 25% of your overall score. There's some just blanket inherent challenges with that. They're a little bit negated this time because the playing field is so wide for quarterfinals. But yeah, the field of play is dramatically different. Also, the timing is a month apart, which is a little weird if you were to do that. So I don't think it's the best solution.
Someone asked if Bill Grunler's been on. Yeah, Jan Clark, has Bill G been on yet? Oh my God, Jan, you look like you're 12 in that photo. No, Bill hasn't been on. That's why the show's running long. We're just waiting for him. We're just shooting the shit until Bill gets here. Slater, are they making a light skin and dark skin division for black people? Brian.
Haven't seen anything about that.
Well, it's an indoor event. I don't know what that has to do with it, but they need an event for the Northerners. What's next? What do we find out next? I mean, we barely even covered. We fell into a hole, a rabbit hole, but I'm glad we did. What's next? What do we find out next from the CrossFit Games? I did hear Adrian say that the rule book should be coming out in December, and in December, that's hopefully when they will have the dates for us for the 7 semifinals.
Yeah, I mean, the big things that are missing are the dates and locations for the live in-person semifinals, and the dates and locations for the CrossFit Games, Adaptive, Masters, and Teenage competitions. And those are big things. You know, people want to start planning their stuff accordingly. Fans, judges, media.
Let me ask
everyone.
you this. Is Wheelwad in the same place every year?
I don't know. It's in Raleigh, North Carolina this year.
Is Legends in the same place every year?
No.
Is Teen Pit in the same place every year?
It is, and I would be surprised if that was not happening at the pit, or at or around that area.
Okay. Mac Thoudy, Sevi, will you do the Open? I've no. I don't think so. I've no unless like Dave tells me to. I don't think I'll. Thank you.
What if Sousa tells you to?
Heidi Krum. Mac Sevi basically invented the Open. That's correct. Hey. What? What? I am going to work out. The next place I'll be working out publicly. Oh, now I have your attention, huh? Next place I'll be working out publicly will be, I think, November 18th at 7 a.m. in Livermore, California at CrossFit Livermore. Dallas is going to be great, dude. Dallas is going to be absolutely. The whole games this year is going to be amazing. It's going to be fun. We have so much fucking drama and crazy shit going on in CrossFit. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be the best male and female competition in the history of the sport. I mean that hands down.
Male for sure. Female.
The build up to it is going to be the best ever. I can tell you for both of them. It is going to be something else. I'm going to have a Laura Horvat and Tia Toomey week where they'll alternate coming on every other day for 20 days straight in 15-minute segments.
A 20-minute week.
20 times. I guess I'll announce this now. This is kind of big news. Laura and Tia will be coming on 20 days in a row, but alternating days for 15-minute segments with me, and it'll allow them for me to bounce shit talking back and forth off of them. Do you know what I mean? So like we'll interview Laura, then we'll interview Tia. We'll do it as a team together.
No
you guys
love
will get
for Emma Lawson.
Emma, I would love to if Tia gets sick or Laura gets sick, Emma could be a backup fighter. But we'll go back and forth. Now listen, just imagine.
What about if Mal O'Brien signs up this year?
Yeah, then I would have to kick. Then we'll do 30 days and we'll alternate 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But here's the thing. In all honesty, just imagine how easy it would be for someone to set that up. And if they did set that up, how much fucking insane hype that would build.
I thought you already had it set up.
No, I was lying. Sorry. I was lying.
Dreaming. You were dreaming.
Dreaming. That's what I mean. Dreaming. I was in a dream. Okay. Final question for you, because I want to go work out.
Yeah,
my fitness is important to me. You interviewed Alex Gazan today on the Be Friendly Fitness podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the first interview that's been done with an athlete since the announcements were made. Did you get any feeling from her how she, not that I give two shits what the athletes think, but let's just pretend like I do, because I do love Alex. What did she think?
We did talk to her. That was not what we were planning to talk about. What we did probably spend the first 15 minutes with her talking about it a little bit. I immediately saw the less qualifying spots for quarterfinals, or from quarterfinals to semifinals amongst a bigger group of athletes, and noted that would put a little bit of a premium on the execution, even for the best athletes in the world. and could potentially be costly for some of them, depending on what comes out. If there is a test amongst the quarterfinal tests that a lot of people who have no chance of making semifinals could do very well on in that event in isolation. And she saw that right away.
Did she give two shits?
I mean, she'd mentioned that last year at quarterfinals, she had a couple of workouts that didn't go great for her, and that would have been a lot more stressful with 2/3 of the available spots.
Look at this. This is not you.
Not me, though. Kind of bummed it's not me, though. Great hair on that guy.
There we go. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Sure, finish your
Oh my God! Look at her hair.
She had just finished an Echo Bike workout. You would have been very happy.
Oh my God. She's like the hot version of Medusa. My God, she looks amazing. The reason why I'm asking is I kind of want her to be like, I don't care. I just fucking work. I do shit. I lift heavy shit and run fast. I don't care. Does she have any of that to her?
Yeah, I mean, she's one of the best in the world, and
Yeah.
She did express an element of, we train through the open, we do that workout, and then we get on with training for the day and whatever. But quarterfinals, maybe a little different this year because there's fewer spots available. So I didn't get the impression that it was like a super stressful for her, but definitely something that she's conscious of. And she did also mention that like for that bigger group of people that make it through the open to the quarterfinals, that could be kind of a fun month for them in their training. What are you?
I'm listening to you. I'm just looking at her different. I'm scrolling through the timeline and looking at her different hair, and then she just got ugly. Look at, bam. How is Dan? He's coming on my podcast. How is
Next
Dan?
Thursday, yeah.
Yeah. How is he?
He was great.
No, he might be coming on tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow is Thursday? Yeah, Thursday. Was it tomorrow or next Thursday? Yeah, I think he said next Thursday.
Oh, well, that would be awesome because he's not on the calendar for tomorrow.
But yeah, he was great. He spoke about his fundraising event that he's doing on January 20th and just the entire initiative behind that. But I'm sure you'll flush it out more than I did.
Okay. Why? You didn't want to flush it out?
No, we told him we'd have him on for about 15 minutes. And I don't know that you've ever done a podcast that only lasts 15 minutes.
All right. Thanks for coming on. I know that this is last minute. I appreciate it. Now, people.
Well, the last thing that I want to say is, this is
summation.
Yeah, I mean, look, the couple things are at the same time today. CrossFit sent out an email. They released a podcast. They released an Instagram post. They're, and even in those things, they mentioned the fact that they are taking note and they are listening and they are attempting to respond to the requests from the communities. Last year, one of the big issues in terms of communication was inconsistent information at differing times across their different platforms for releasing information. Big win today in that regard is that they got out the information that they wanted on multiple platforms at the same time. Similarly to when they announced the changes for the CrossFit Games, having multiple locations and different hosts in terms of competition organizers for the different divisions, there are always going to be questions to be asked. There's always going to be people that immediately choose to look at the negative, the critical, the I could do better type of perspective. But you just have to keep in mind, like, these are these people's jobs. They might not do a perfect job every time with every decision, but they're trying. They're trying to make this a better, more successful thing for the people that are in it now. You can have your opinions about what their ultimate motivation is, whether it's to make money, to improve the livelihood of the people in general from a health and fitness and functionality perspective, or somewhere in between. But you and I have talked about this, Sevan. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make money, and if you do have an increased stream of revenue, there's good things that can be done with that.
I want them to get rich as fuck. I want everyone who works at the games to be filthy, make $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000 a year, be able to buy a nice house, swimming pool, get their wife pregnant so she could raise the kids at home, or get their husband pregnant the way they're doing it over there at CrossFit HQ. Just whatever. Yeah, I'm totally open. I love it.
And
that's why I don't like when they're like, it's just a money grab. Fuck you. They got to make money. I'm totally okay with the money thing.
Yeah, and it's like it's totally okay to ask questions. It's totally okay to make observations. There are inherent challenges that will come with the decisions that they made for certain people. Bill and JR identified some of those from the affiliate perspective and how to manage those weekends. You want to provide a high quality of product for the people at your affiliate. You're going to have an increased premium on time and what that looks like during quarterfinals this year because more people will make it. And now the onus kind of shifts back to CrossFit. Adrian talked about it today. They are, and I think Dave even has alluded to it, that they are in being intentional with the design of those things and hopefully the implementation of them to the point where they are accessible, they are challenging, they are sufficient for finding the next group of athletes to advance through the season, and hopefully also that they are something that their team can actually manage and process in a reasonable time. That is, to me, is a massive, massive critical component of their execution of the game season this year. Can their review team score these workouts for these percentage of people in a reasonable amount of time and get the information turned around and out to people so that they can make their plans for semifinals? That to me is going to be a huge if until I see it happen.
All right, thank you. I do just want to play this really quick. Here's some of the I haven't seen this yet. Here's some of the content that they're putting out. This is, do you know her name?
Becky Harsh.
Becky Harsh.
Super kind and helpful person last year with semifinals for me.
Yeah, I think she might be a flow master too, right?
I don't know. But she's
highly,
been around for a while,
crazy, highly respected with the people, HQ, the OGs. Okay, here we go.
Highlights of your season structure for the 2024 CrossFit Games. Individuals and teams look basically the same as last year. We start online with the open and quarterfinals. We move to in-person competition for semifinals and the games. For our age group categories, which includes the masters and the teenagers, your competition starts online with the...
Oh, wow, this goes on and on. Okay. All right, cool. So there's tons of information out there.
Yeah, and very much in line with what they said. This was one of the feedback that people were giving last year is, hey, you guys control the narrative. Put out the information at a consistent time across your platforms and with consistent information on all those platforms. And today they did that from what I have seen.
I've got the lowlights for your season structure for the 2024 CrossFit Games. Dave hinted at some exciting changes coming this Wednesday, and boy, was he wrong. First off, if you were holding out some faint irrational hope at a longer open, you were wrong. We're getting more bang for your buck.
Dude, what is wrong with my fucking computer? I got to reboot. All right. Hey, Brian, thank you for coming on. Sorry, Pedro. My shit's not playing right.
Great to
see you guys tomorrow morning. No guest. Don't forget to watch the Chicago Bears game tonight.
Not tonight. There's no football.
Get to watch
tonight.
the Chicago Bears game tomorrow night.
It's so great. I've been a Chicago Bears fan my entire life, and now all my friends are suddenly enjoying the misery alongside me.
Isn't it? It must be crazy for people like you and Hiller. Like all of a sudden, everyone in CrossFit's like, "What are the Bears doing?"
It is quite comical when you guys are watching the games and people are like, "What the hell is the offensive line doing?" It's like I've been asking myself that for 30 years, guys.
Dude, did you see that snap last week where it rolled to him?
I mean,
it fucking rolled to him on the ground in the snap, dude. I was like, how is that hey, you're not, are you not allowed to hit the guy who snaps the ball?
There's for like on extra points and stuff like that, no, unless they attempt to block. But in the flow of the offense, yes, the center does become involved in the play.
Okay, but not if it's a
like you have to give him the chance to snap the ball. Okay,
man. Oh, someone wrote something in the private chat. Oh, okay. There it was Jay. It's a note from JR later. Sevan, I love you. That's cute. Okay. See you guys tomorrow morning. Thank you. Bye-bye.